Good day, everyone. This is Don Green, and many of you know me from the programs on YouTube, on the American Guns and Glory Network, and from gun shows. Today we have a special election special, and I've been reiterating to everyone I speak to that this is probably one of the most significant judicial election cycles we have had in Clark County in a long time. It is my distinct pleasure today to introduce to the listening and viewing audience Judge Tina Talim, currently the District Court Judge in District Court Department 14. You'll see her graphic there, and you'll see some graphics throughout the program. But we're going to introduce you now to Judge Tina Talim. And how are you today, Judge?
I'm doing great, Don. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
You're welcome. Tell us a little bit about yourself. We'll get into it later, but tell us a little bit about yourself now.
Sure. I am Tina Talim. I am the judge in Department 14. I was appointed earlier this year. Now I'm running to retain my seat in District Court Department 14.
Okay. Before we get into a lot of detail, tell the audience, tell the viewing audience and the listening audience, what is a district court judge?
So a district court judge, we have several judges or courts here in Nevada. We have municipal courts, we have justice courts, and we have district courts. So when we see on TV where all the trials are happening, that's happening in my courtroom. That's happening in district court. So district court hears civil cases that are over $15,000, and we also hear felony and gross misdemeanor cases.
What's the term for a district court judge?
Generally, it is a 6-year term. What's really unique about my appointment and election is I'm running to retain my seat in 2024. And then in 2026, so actually 2 years from now, all of the district court departments will be up for election. So I'm running in 24. I'll also be running in 26, and then it will be a 6-year term.
Now, in this process of becoming a judge, the viewers need to know what organizations in the county, in the city, fraternal organizations, what is a process for having what's known as an endorsement, and what is an endorsement?
So an endorsement is basically a show of support by different organizations or individuals. The process is a little bit like the appointment process, where you fill out an application and you answer questions about why you believe you deserve this particular endorsement. And then generally there is an interview process where questions are asked. You are vetted by these organizations before they give you their support. And I'm proud to say that I have earned the support of many organizations, not just here in Clark County, but in the state of Nevada as well.
And we will show the viewing audience and talk and explain in fact, we have a slide right now. Can you explain some of the representative endorsements which you have received to date?
Yes. So I have received the endorsement of almost every major law enforcement agency, not just in Clark County, but in the state of Nevada. And
define some of those.
So it would be the Las Vegas Police Protective Association, the Henderson Supervisors Association, North Las Vegas police officers, Boulder City police officers have also endorsed me, Moapa, Mesquite, juvenile probation, the list goes on and on.
So can an organization endorse more than one candidate?
Some organizations will do what's called a dual endorsement. That's quite rare. Generally speaking, at least in my experience, the endorsements that I've received are 100% sole endorsements of these various agencies. So not only has law enforcement endorsed me, but the firefighters here in Clark County have also endorsed me. I've gotten the endorsement of veteran organizations, and also labor has endorsed me. And that,
which labor union?
Leuna has endorsed me.
Leuna. They were instrumental in building Allegiant Stadium.
Absolutely.
Okay, excellent. So in the endorsement process, you said that you had an interview. So is it like do you meet before a panel?
Yes, in all of the endorsement interviews that I've had a panel of members who ask all kinds of questions, really focused on judicial temperament, judicial philosophy, and to me, having the support of the unions, especially in Clark County, is so significant because labor is the backbone of our community. So in addition to the one I've already mentioned, I have the endorsement of the Southern Nevada Builders Trade Union, AFL-CIO, and Teamsters also just endorsed me. And I'm just stay tuned because more endorsements are coming.
That's good. Let's have the next slide, please. And the next one, please. Okay, now let's talk about experience and let's talk about your appointment. Again, when were you appointed as district court judge?
I was appointed Department 14 judge in June, and that was after a 19-year career with the Clark County District Attorney's Office.
Who appointed you as district court judge in District Court Department 14?
The governor. So what happens is when there's a vacancy in a department, whether it's because of a retirement or a resignation, the governor actually has to make that appointment. And that's why now I'm running to retain that seat.
And is it true that the appointment process by the governor of the state of Nevada is one of his constitutional duties?
That's right.
So the governor has to appoint someone to the bench.
He does. He can also choose, if he is not satisfied with the candidate or the candidates presented to him, he doesn't have to make an appointment.
Yes.
But that is his right as a governor and a duty as a governor to make the judicial appointments when he deems appropriate.
And again, that's by Nevada Constitution, this one of the duties that the governor has.
That's right.
Tell us about your experience, and then again, we focus on, for the viewing and the listening audience, why you believe that your experience helps you as a district court judge.
Yeah, so I've been a practicing attorney here in Clark County for 20 years. I started my career in civil litigation, then I spent 19 years as a prosecutor with the Clark County District Attorney's Office. And there I tried all kinds of cases. I started my career on the general litigation team and I prosecuted, and when I say prosecuted, that means building a case up. So I looked at an investigation, I decided what, if any, charges should be brought and against whom and how many counts should be charged, and then I took that case and I presented it in front of a justice court, preliminary hearing or a grand jury, and then we, at the Clark County DA's office, it's all about vertical prosecution. So a prosecutor starts handling a case from the beginning all the way up to jury trial. So in my first 5 years at the Clark County District Attorney's Office, I did dozens of felony trials that ranged from robberies to sexual assault with minors, to murder cases, gang cases, drug cases, and after about 5 years, I was then promoted to the high-intensity drug trafficking area team that's called the HIDA team, and that's actually how, Don, you and I met. We've actually been on opposing sides of several of those HIDA cases.
Yes, and let me ask you about that HIDA case. What does HIDA mean, and what does it mean to be on that team and the chief of that team?
So the HIDA team, like I said, stands for a high-intensity drug trafficking area. So every year, certain areas of the United States are given federal money to combat drug trafficking organizations. And Clark County, because of where we are in Las Vegas, because we're so uniquely situated, we get money from the federal government to combat drug trafficking organizations. Really, the goal is to disrupt and dismantle those organizations. So I worked as the team chief of that unit, and I was the longest serving team chief of that unit in the Clark County DA's office. For 13 years, I worked on that team, working with federal, local, and state law enforcement agencies to combat drug trafficking, human trafficking, gun trafficking. So I dealt with some of the most serious cases affecting some of the most vulnerable people in Clark County. Before I left the DA's office, I was in charge of the supervision of all of the opioid-related death cases. So fentanyl cases. Fentanyl, as you are aware, has really, really devastated Clark County, especially our youth. So I worked closely with those law enforcement agencies to make sure when there was an overdose death that the perpetrators of that crime was brought to justice.
And when you mentioned that you work with different federal agencies, tell our viewing and listening audience some of the representative federal agencies with whom you have worked or met with in connection with your being in the district attorney's office in general.
Yes, so I worked with the FBI, the DEA, Homeland Security. I worked with Metro, North Las Vegas Police Department, so local, state, and federal agencies. What I can tell you is the HIDA team was one of the busiest teams in the Clark County DA's office, and I was on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and I have prosecuted more international cartels than any other prosecutor in the history of the state of Nevada. I've reviewed more wiretaps, search warrants, and it was something that I really believed was my duty to the community to make sure public safety was always number one. And that's still the position as a judge. Public safety is number one for me, making sure Clark County is and remains the best place to live.
And how is it that you believe that your 20 years of experience and administrative experience, correct?
Yes.
How is it that you feel that that's translated into helping you with your civil calendar?
So I think being a team chief at the Clark County DA's office for as long as I was, I had a lot of administrative duties, and a lot of the duties of a district court are administrative duties. It includes managing a courtroom, making sure the cases that are coming into your courtroom are flowing from in and out of the legal system in an efficient way. So making sure you can manage that courtroom, manage the caseload. The 8th Judicial District Court has one of the highest caseloads in the country. So having that managerial experience has really allowed me to make sure that these cases are moving effectively through the system. And having tried so many cases, and that is, when I say tried cases, that is taking a case through a jury verdict. So I tried dozens of cases. I've handled thousands of felony cases over the course of my career. And having that courtroom experience, that's allowed me to make that transition from a prosecutor to now a judge, particularly a civil judge. It's been seamless because the objections in trials, whether it's criminal or civil, are the same. The rules of evidence don't change. And what I've found, particularly from the civil bar, civil practitioners, is those lawyers want judges who are able to make decisions and make them quickly. And
Yes.
having that experience as a trial lawyer is instrumental in being a judge and being able to make those decisions.
Well, thank you. Let's go to the next slide, please. Now, we talked briefly a few minutes ago about your accomplishments. And let's go, what are your accomplishments since you've been a lawyer and now since you've been a judge?
Yes, so I'll start with being a judge first,
Okay,
because
that's
that is what I'm doing right now. I've had a very successful career so far on the bench. I've presided over jury trials, civil trials. I actually had a 2-week-long civil trial. I have a 3-week-long civil trial coming up, and that is some place I'm very, very comfortable. As I mentioned, the volume in the 8th Judicial District Court is quite high, and I have handled sometimes hundreds of cases a week, whether that's reviewing orders, reviewing motions, having hearings, evidentiary hearings, being in trial. So that's been, in my opinion, a huge accomplishment, and that's reflected in the support that I've received from the civil bar.
Okay, and tell me something about the decorum in the court which you expect of your litigants. Do they talk to each other? They talk to you? And do they talk over each other? How is it that you are controlling your courtroom?
So having the experience as being a former prosecutor taught me a whole lot about the courtroom. I was in the courts every single day. So the courts that I now preside over, I appeared in those courtrooms every single day. And I got to witness over 20 years different judges and judicial temperaments and how they did or didn't control their courtroom. I believe in treating everyone who comes into my courtroom with dignity and respect. And that's how I believe counsel should treat everyone, including one another, including the court. So it really, for me, Don, it starts at the top. So I've set a tone in my courtroom that I have certain expectations, and I expect everyone to be professional and abide by the rules of appropriate conduct, whether that's inside the courtroom or outside the courtroom. And that's how I handle my courtroom, making sure everyone is treated with respect and dignity.
Now, I know you personally for these 20 years in very serious cases. Almost all of them are criminal cases. And you have a reputation for being fair and thoughtful. And how is it that you are now presenting that in your courtroom?
So
how is it that you're presenting yourself as being fair and thoughtful in your decision making?
So what I tell parties and what I would like the community to know is I work hard. And that work ethic was instilled in me since I was a young child. And so I review all of the pleadings that come before me. And so that reputation that I had as a prosecutor is absolutely carried over to the bench. I am thorough. I review the statutes that are presented. I review all of the pleadings, and I make thoughtful decisions, and I'm making those in a timely manner. And yes, we've known each other for quite some time. And you asked me earlier about some of the accomplishments. One of the accomplishments of which I'm very proud is I was recognized by the White House for a case that you and I actually had together.
Yes.
I was obviously the prosecutor on the case. Dawn, you were the defense attorney, and the White House recognized me for my prosecution of what was then Nevada's largest methamphetamine ring.
Yeah, that was alleged 208 pounds of methamphetamine.
And
I used the word alleged. No, very careful. No, a great job on that case. Okay, you mentioned a minute ago about your work ethic since you were long. Let's meet. Let's have the next slide, and we'll hold on to that. Let's meet Judge Talim. We'll go back to you, Judge. Tell us about yourself, the person.
Yes, I love that question because, a lot of times people see judges and they don't look at us as real people, right? So I've lived in this community for 20 years. I wasn't born here. I was born in India, and with my appointment, I became the first Indian American judge in the history of the state of Nevada, and that makes me very proud knowing from where I came, and I worked really, really hard, and I was able to accomplish my goals because of that work ethic. It was nothing but hard work. So I grew up in Southern California. I went to school, undergrad at UCLA, then Pepperdine Law School, moved to Las Vegas shortly after graduating law school, and I fell in love with this town. This is the town where I chose to have my family, raise my daughters. I have 17-year-old daughters, and they
Seems
are...
like yesterday, doesn't it?
It sure does. You knew them when they were very little.
They were little babies.
Yes, you did.
Yes.
And they are in their senior year of high school. They have gone through the Clark County School District, and they've flourished. So I'm at the softball games, I'm at the concerts, the orchestra concerts, and all the other things, just like everyone else in this community. I love this community. That's why I chose a career in public service, to make sure that the community is protected. And when an opportunity came up to become a judge with an appointment process, to me, that was a natural extension of the service to the community.
Tell us about, and you're a single mother, correct?
I have a partner. I've been with him for about 15 years.
All right.
But for the majority of my daughter's lives, I raised them as a single mom. And I think I know where you're going with this. You're going to ask me how that helped my judicial philosophy.
Next question, yes.
Anyone who has children, anyone who has teenagers especially, is probably really good at listening to two versions of a story and figuring out, what really happened here. So absolutely, being a mom has shaped everything, including my ability to listen to both sides, make sure everyone feels heard, and that includes in the courtroom, and then make an appropriate decision given the parameters. In the courtroom, it's the law and the facts, and make those appropriate decisions.
You were talking about a couple of minutes ago about giving back to the community and how you've worked in the community. Describe briefly this concept of community outreach. What is that?
Yeah, so when I was at the district attorney's office, my last year at the DA's office, in addition to carrying a caseload of over 300 felony cases a year, I was also tasked with doing the outreach for the district attorney's office. And to me, what was most significant was that we connect with our youth. And so I worked with a lot of local youth organizations, the National Charity League, Girl Scout, Young Men's Service League, the Boys and Girls Club. I could go on. And I really focused on building the connections between the district attorney's office and the legal profession in general and our youth. And I focused on making sure that our youth is aware of the dangers of drugs, of guns, violence, and making sure they're staying out of gangs. So that was really that was at the heart of what I was doing, was really working with our youth, and then also just being a presence in the community, because if you're present in the community, that builds trust in the system.
And tell us, have you received any awards from any of these organizations here in Clark County?
I have. I've received awards on behalf of the State Bar of Nevada. I got the position in the district attorney's office. I was the director of community outreach at the DA's office, and that was the first time in the history of the district attorney's office that anyone had been appointed. And it's because I really felt the need that there was a disconnect between some of the, especially the historically underrepresented communities in Clark County and the district attorney's office. And you know what's really interesting is Clark County has one of the most diverse populations in the country. So being involved in those populations as a representative of the district attorney's office and now as a judge, I think is so instrumental and is so critical. And as a judge, I also believe in making sure we are engaged with the communities that we serve. I am a public servant, so I want to make sure that I know what's going on in the various communities, and that's always a main focus for me.
When did this diversity program start in the DA's office?
In 2023.
And tell me about that diversity program. And tell me one question that I know the viewers and the listening audience are going to ask. Is it just because of who you are, or is it because of who you are and merit is why you get a job?
Oh, absolutely. It's merit. I came to the country as an immigrant, and my mother cleaned homes when we moved here, and it was through nothing but hard work that she was able to make the accomplishments and the achievements that she has had in life. And it has been because of nothing but hard work that I have been able to become a lawyer and now a judge. I'm the first person in my family to go to college and become a lawyer, and the thought of becoming a judge was something that really, if I had stayed back in India, would never have been a reality. So I am so grateful to this country because it's given me so much, but it is absolutely hard work.
So in the district attorney's office with probably almost, 200 attorneys? How many
Yes.
DAs, deputy DAs are there?
About there.
There was like 30 when I was there, but that's 40 years ago. Okay.
Population's boomed.
Population has changed. Everything's changed. We didn't even have bar cards when I started being a lawyer. Anyway, so tell us, you talked about this diversity program. Who was the director of this program?
So I was the director of that program.
And tell us, so you did trials, you were a team chief, the diversity program director. So how did you find time for everything and balancing everything?
You just do it, Don, you just do it. And in addition to all of that, I was also parenting my daughters, right? And it's what I'm doing now. I'm a full-time judge. I'm also campaigning. I'm a mom. And if you want something bad enough and you want to make a difference badly enough, then you find the time. You find the time to do it.
Okay, now, everyone, again, is going to ask this question. Tell the audience, tell our viewers, why you are the best candidate in retaining your seat as district court judge.
Happy to. So first off, it's my judicial experience. I'm the only candidate in Department 14 that has any judicial experience. I've been a judge now in Department 14 for several months. During those months, I've handled hundreds of civil cases, and that includes signing orders, reviewing pleadings, hearing motions, evidentiary hearings, hearing trials. So I am the only candidate in this department with any judicial experience, and judicial experience matters. I also bring a fair and balanced approach to the bench. I have tremendous support from the civil bar. I started my career in civil litigation, and I also have extensive career experience in criminal as a 19-year prosecutor with the Clark County DA's office. And the support that I've received from both the criminal bar and the civil bar speaks volumes on their support and their belief in my qualifications to move forward as your Department 14 judge. I've also practiced in the courts in which I now preside. For 20 years, I was in court every single day. So making sure that your judges have practiced in the courts. I was a lawyer on a Wednesday and I was a judge on a Thursday. I took no time off between those two. Pretty significant career change. So having practiced in the courts, having done dozens of trials, hundreds of preliminary hearings, grand jury presentations, that is all relevant experience. Also, my judicial temperament. I believe in treating everyone with dignity and respect, whether you are represented by counsel or you are a pro se litigant. Everyone deserves respect. That includes the victims, that includes witnesses, and again, the litigants as well. And then also, you alluded to this a moment ago, but it requires a lot of stamina to be a district court judge. We have calendars sometimes 2 or 3 times a week, but we're working 7 days a week.
That's right.
Yes, preparing for those calendars, preparing for the arguments, reading through those pleadings. And I read through every single pleading. Every time a new case comes in, I go back to the complaint and read from the ground up. So that requires a lot of work and a lot of dedication. And over the course of now 20 years, I've proven that I have the stamina, the ability, and the drive. And then finally, my service to the community. I spent 19 years of my adult life, my career, virtually my entire career, as a public servant. Community safety has always been number one for me. And as a former prosecutor with the Clark County DA's office, community safety was always number one. I'm endorsed, like I said, by every law enforcement agency, not
While
just
you're
in
on
the
that,
county.
let's go to the next slide. Yes. While you're on that,
Yes.
Okay.
So I've been endorsed by every law enforcement agency, like I said, the unions, the firefighters, and the community has spoken. At this point, the community has told us who we want in Department 14. Right now, the department is a civil department. Very shortly here, it's going to split into civil and criminal. And, I go back to who knows best what is required in a judge handling civil cases. Well, that's the civil bar, right? The attorneys who are appearing in front of
Yes.
Department 14 every day. And I have the overwhelming support of the civil bar here in Clark County, Nevada. And so my endorsements, my career, I think, speaks volumes to my ability to continue to do a great job in Department 14.
Thank you. And again, we have the last slide, please. And here's one here. I just want to pick this one out because this is from a police organization and firefighters. Again, you went through that vetting process through firefighters and the police. And I guess that you feel that that's important for you, correct?
Absolutely. I feel it's so important to have the support of our community. We are public servants as judges. We do what's right for the community, and to be supported by those organizations, law enforcement, firefighters, veterans, unions, that means a lot to me.
And let's have the final slide with Judge Talim's contact information. And she can be reached at www.judgetinatalim.com. And the phone number is 702-625-0037. And she's got what appears to be is that an email address?
Yes.
Tina@judgetinatalim.com. Final thoughts, Judge.
Yes, so thank you for having me here. Thank
Yes.
you for allowing me to share my judicial philosophy. My name is Tina Talim. I am your Department 14 judge, appointed recently to the bench by the governor, and now I'm running to retain my seat. I have a heart of public service, community service, public safety is number one, making sure cases move quickly through the judicial system. The decisions are being made fairly and appropriately. I believe in treating everyone with respect. So that's why I'm running to retain my seat. I gave up a great career at the Clark
Yes.
County DA's office, but I really saw the opportunity to become a judge as a way to continue to give back to my community from the bench and really be able to make a difference here in Clark County, the place where I've chosen to raise my family and I call home.
Well, thank you so much, Judge Talim, for appearing on our show. And again, we want to thank Rigel Studios for their excellent work in helping to present this rather detailed program. Again, you can watch this on YouTube, and you can also see it on my website, Don Green Law Las Vegas, or just contact my cellular phone at 702-409-8239. And if you actually Google that phone number, you'll see the website, and you'll see Judge Talim's program on our website, and we're very proud to have it. And thank you again to Rigel Studios, and thank you, listening audience. Signing off. Thank you.